What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Why Not podcast. Here, we discuss the moments in life. We ask ourselves, why not? Before leaping over obstacles to ultimately pursue something great. Today, I'm truly honored to have this amazing guest on the show with me. Quentin Martin is from White Plains, New York, and he's someone I'm blessed to know personally. Quentin is a finance expert who works in investment banking for the prestigious Wells Fargo. What I love most about Quentin is not only his ability to teach people the benefits of investing in terms of money, but investing in yourself to improve your overall quality of life.
My motto is why not, and I always stick by it, regardless of what people say, what is possible, what's not possible. I continue to think why not, and continue to strive to be the best I can be.
What's good, Q? How you feel?
What's
I'm
going on,
good.
brother? I'm feeling great, man. Blessed and highly
Yes,
favored
sir.
as
Yes,
usual.
sir. For sure. For
Yeah.
sure. That's what's up, bro. I just want to take this time right now to extend my gratitude and definitely say thank you, bro, for being on the show and taking the time out of your day just to be here and chop it up with me, bro.
Nah, man, thank you for having me. This always a blessing when people think highly enough to want to hear you or your opinions.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. For sure, for sure. So let's get right into it, man. What was the biggest why not moment in your life?
The crazy part is, and this, the biggest why not moment was when I stopped playing
Yeah.
basketball, right? Because everybody saw me as only a basketball player. So very few people saw a life outside of basketball for me. And so my why not moment was my senior year of college when I got into one of the top internship programs in the country. I'm like, yo, I'm not going to play ball. I'm going to pursue a career in finance because why not? Why can't I be something I've never seen before, right? We don't have access to people of color or many people of color who really know the games and ins and outs of finance, both domestically and globally, whether it's personal or actual investing. Why can't I be that? Why can't I be, the Steph Curry in my space or the LeBron James in my space as far as knowledge, right? That was my biggest moment. My mom was my biggest supporter. She was like, yo, if it makes you happy, do it. And a lot of people are like, you can never do it. And I'm like, why not? Like, why can't I go work on Wall Street? Why can't I go pursue this career and do something different and use the skills that I've learned my whole life from a physical part of basketball to the mental part and apply that to real life? So I always say that's my biggest one.
Yo, for people that don't know, Q is a beast in basketball. He scored over like 1,200 points in high school without shooting a three. And when he told me that, yeah, let him know. Yeah, when he told me that, I was like, what is no way? And then we played one-on-one. I was like, nah, this guy's different. This guy's different. No threes, just straight post work.
Yeah, adult. I pay taxes.
So why finance though? Out of everything that is that could be an option to you, why did you decide to choose finance?
I think because it, to me, is the most replicatable in sports. Competitive, right? Everybody has an opinion, and how you articulate your opinion, the stats, the facts, the numbers, the same way we argue about who the best player is or who's better than who or what team is better than what team, and just competing, right? Every day you wake up and you're like, it's a competition between you and other banks or you and your coworkers, right? To be great. So if you come in the office at 6 in the morning and we both in the same position, I'm coming at 5:30. If you come at 5:30, I'm coming at 5 a.m. And that constant level of competition, the constant level of critiquing your game in finance, it really attracted me. So I'm like, this is like hoops. And I can continue an upward trend if I put the work in. And it's more mental than it's physical. Like basketball is a mental sport more than it's physical to a certain standpoint because you have to understand the game to play the game. So athleticism only takes you so far. You have to really understand the nuances of a defense or offensive scheme, what players' tendencies are, what they like to do, what they don't like to do, what's comfortable, what's uncomfortable, right? Same thing in the stock market. I have to look at a CEO or a company and do a deep dive on what's comfortable for them as a company, but what's uncomfortable. Who's their competition? Who are the Memphis Grizzlies to the Golden State Warriors, right? Company wise, like McDonald's is dominant, but is there a Memphis Grizzlies
Sound like a
Uprise?
scouting report.
Maybe that's Chipotle. Maybe that's like Chipotle, right? Chipotle might be the Memphis Grizzlies disrupting what McDonald's has in place as far as dynasty. And so I can kind of compare sports to stocks, right, and investing in the thought process. I've even gone so far to make a list to compare NBA players to stocks, right, and have some level of correlation. Say, okay, well, Giannis will be Apple, right, because he's just pure dominance, and they have a pure dominance stance in the market. We can go into the semantics of what that means and really do a deep dive.
It sounds like you going over a scouting report. The way you just broke everything down.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah, and that's what really attracted me to it because how you see the game isn't how I see the game. And to be a good teammate, you have to understand how your teammates view the game so you can accentuate their strengths, right? And help them with their weaknesses. And it's their job to do the same thing. And so the same thing with companies, right? I have to look at the company and say, okay, what are they great at? What aren't they good at? What's the scout report on these guys, right? How tough is it to defeat them? And so you look at a sector as the conference, right? Sector would be like, if it's industrials, all the industrial, that's a conference. And then, in the NBA, you got the Western Conference, right? And then you got the Eastern Conference. So you got two conferences. So you can have consumer. Now, consumer is consumer discretionary, right? And that breaks it down into divisions, right? So who's in the consumer discretionary division versus who's in the consumer staples division, and what is the differentiating factor in the divisions? In sports, right, the differentiating factor is location, right? So if you're in Boston, you're going to be in the East. If you're in LA, you're going to be in the West based on location. That's how they create divisions in the NBA or NFL. In sports leagues, well, in finance is very similar. If I'm consumer discretionary means that I sell items that you want, you don't need, right? I don't need a mirror. I want a mirror, so I go to Target. Walmart will be a consumer staple because most of the big Walmarts down south, right, have grocery stores in them. You can buy food. We need food to live. So a staple, right? Food, electricity, certain things that we actually need to continue. So there you go. There's the
Mm.
conferences, right? Conference divisions. So the conference being consumer, right? And then the divisions being staples versus discretionary. And then they meet, right? The best companies meet at the top. The same way you meet in conference finals. And so when I break it down like that, it's easy for me to digest and someone who hasn't invested to digest. And that goes back to my whole thing of investing is not that difficult.
Yeah. Wow. I love your insight, and I love the knowledge, and I love the comparisons that you make between sports and the stock market. Like when I'm listening to you speak, and it's like you're so passionate about it. I had to. You got to pull out the forgive me. That's my passion talking. For real, for
Yeah,
real.
that's what it comes down to. Like you have to be you have to buy into whatever it is you want to do in life. A lot of times people work professions and they're not fully bought in, and then they don't get the results they want in life, and they feel like they got shortchanged, but it's like you didn't really buy in. And sometimes you have to change your surroundings. It's uncomfortable. So if I was a teacher and I didn't want to be a teacher anymore, and I wanted to go be an artist, it's hard to walk away from the salary, the benefits, or what it is. But you're never going to be bought in fully. And so if you're never going to be bought in fully to what you want to do, you're not going to see the top results you want to do. And sometimes it's about putting yourself in an environment that you're going to grow in, and growth means being uncomfortable. And so I've always taken that challenge and finance. It was uncomfortable at first because I didn't have a background, right? I don't know anything. And being in the middle class and being a person of color, we're not taught these things. We're not taught how to invest. We're not taught how to view things. So I had to reshape and reformulate my relationship with money to understand what money actually really is versus what I thought it was growing up as a kid and even as a young adult. And once I was able to do that, you get to the layer of the most important commodity is information, right? And knowledge. And so the more knowledge I had, the more powerful I am. And you look at money, you go, okay, well, I've got $1 million. If $1 million is a lot of money to you, then I can control you. Right? Everybody, to a lot of people, money is different. So once you get over, okay, it's just
Yeah.
paper, right? You need it to live, but it's paper. When you get past that, we get to the actual knowledge and the thought process. It's like hoops,
Mm.
right? It's mental basketball, because currencies change. So take, for example, investing. Who you talk to is an investment in your time and energy. What you have for lunch or dinner is an investment in your health. When you invest in the stock market, the currency just changes. You invest every day. The only difference is that once I got to the root of my relationship with money, I was no longer investing to just make money. I was investing to learn and create a replicable process, right? I can replicate what I'm doing. Steph Curry goes 4-15 on Wednesday night versus the Pelicans. he's able to watch the film and say, okay, my elbow was out, my feet weren't set. And then on Friday versus the Rockets, he goes 11 for 15 because he's able to watch the film and go back and replicate success. That's what makes him a great shooter.
Mm.
Same thing in investing. I create a replicable process. I can say, okay, well, I didn't think about this. I didn't consider that. I should have did this. And next time I go out to invest or go and make an investment, I reformulate how I do it or go back to the fundamentals, and I'm able to be more successful. So that process helps you over a period of time. Over 82 game season, that helps, right?
Mm-hmm. Talking about being uncomfortable, what was actually the biggest adjustment you had to make switching over from sports to finance? And how is that adjustment helping you today?
Realizing that I'm not going to be around a lot of people who look like me.
Okay.
Right? When you play hoops, the demographics is
Yeah.
different. When I play hoops, I'm around a lot of guys who look like me, who are from my culture, who listen to the same music, who speak the same language, who understand, certain things that I understand. And that demographic changes fast, right? And so adjusting to your demographic, but staying true to yourself. So just because my demographic of people I'm around changes on a daily basis, that doesn't mean I have to change the roots of who I am. That means that these people cohabitate a workspace where we, have to work together and we do work together, but who I am as a person and what I'm rooted in doesn't change. And again, money, right? Because money doesn't move me, you can't change who I am as a person and what my principles are, my morals, my values, my integrity is. If I think $100,000 is a lot of money, I might change some of those things, my integrity, my morals, my principles, just to get the $100,000. And that will cost you more in legacy than it will gain you in actual physical currency. And so my legacy can't be bought, right? And that was the biggest adjustment. It was like, yo, you're doing this, okay, but how do I do something that nobody in my community really doesn't have any experience, stay true to myself and not lose the principles of who I am and how I was raised, in that environment. So that was always the biggest adjustment of that. And I always make sure to be a humble person and never never take this for granted and never feel like I'm going to trade my integrity for $1 because my legacy can't be bought.
You mentioned you worked on Wall Street. What was that experience like? And first off, hold on. Is working on Wall Street like the movie, The Wolf of Wall Street? It's lit in the office, it's parties and stuff like that, or
when I first started working, it was kind of similar to that, not to that extreme, but it was some wild stuff going on. That was the wild west. Now it's a lot more muted, and a lot more organized. But there was a time where it was kind of like OD, like it was wild stuff going on. Cats was doing coke in the bathroom. It was like that. And now it's a lot more, the game has changed, the thought process has changed, a lot more regulation, a lot more regulatory stuff. But being in both environments, like then and now, again, like shape my thought process, right? A lot of times, like we're not critical thinkers, we follow instructions. So what's always helped me in those environments is I'm a critical thinker. If everybody starts running, I'm not going to start running and try to figure out what's going on. Not because I'm dumb or what, but sometimes people just run, and you can't follow everybody because you run into the fire instead of running away from the fire. You got to figure out for a second, okay, what's going on, and then make a decision. So I feel like that's what that environment taught me. And this environment being a lot more muted, it is more about relationships than it is anything else, right? Understanding how to develop relationships, understanding how to maintain them, understanding what they mean, and how you can build a relationship with somebody who you don't have anything in common with, right? Outside of finance. And finding those unique situations where you guys both can benefit from the relationship and it's not one-sided.
You always told me while I was in school, make sure you network, make sure you build relationships, and make sure you hanging out with the smartest kids in class. What was building relationships like down in Wall Street when you first landed there?
It's different. People want to help you, so like it's easier, right? When you're younger to build relationships with people who see themselves in you, and they want to help. So it's not difficult. Again, you're gonna find different people with different backgrounds and thought processes. So if the relationship between me and John means I gotta mute who I am, well, there's no relationship. I'm not muting who I am. So now you have to go find people who aren't gonna mute who you are, who are gonna invest in you as a person and actually care about your life and not try to use you as a pawn, right? Because we work in finance, ain't no friends, to a certain extent. So figuring out the people who have your best interest in mind versus the people who have a vested interest in you for whatever particular reason, that's the first step. And then from there, really finding people that you look up to, like guys that are like, yo, you know what? I see myself in that guy. Of
Yeah.
course, as far as like what like I think my life should be like. You know, the guy is successful. He's able to go to his son's basketball games. He's able to take care of his family. He's able to do X, Y, Z from the outside looking in. Like, you know, that's the dude I look up to. And then me extending my hand, right? Oh, you can't wait for people to come to you. Sometimes you gotta extend
Yeah.
your hand. So I'm very big on, hey, let's build. Like if I can help you, you can help me. A lot of times that relationship helps to build other relationships, and you never know who knows who, and that could lead to a job opportunity. That could lead to more information. That can lead to more knowledge, meeting more people, and that helps your overall person, not just your career.
I love how open you are to growing, growing and reaching out and just having a better experience overall.
Yeah, like you gotta be open minded. So I always think like your mind is conditioned to kind of be stiff. Like your mind's conditioned to follow instructions. To be open minded, your mind almost has to do Pilates, right? You have to almost do mental Pilates and have you be able to be flexible in your thought
Hmm.
process. And so that helps to build relationships because there's so much we don't know about other cultures, other people, other experiences that we can take from and add to our journey and being flexible of mind. So saying, okay, well, me and someone got we don't come from the same background. It don't mean we can't build. It just means like we have to have that common respect, that common ground to allow both parties to be themselves. And if both people can be themselves, that's a very good relationship because no one feels like they have to be something they're not. We've all kind of been, you know, as teachers, it's like y'all gotta be stiff because the teachers here. You feel like you gotta change. My mom's in the room, you know when you're able just to be yourself and not have fear of making mistakes and not have fear of saying the wrong thing and just being able to cultivate natural relationships, those go much further because those people are willing to vouch for you and you're willing to vouch for them. And both people know that and it creates a deeper bond when you're building relationships.
There, for people that don't know you, there's so many layers to him, and he allows all those layers to exist beautifully, and that's something I really love about you, for sure.
So, I mean, it's been a work in progress. I appreciate that. It's like I said, you gotta be comfortable with you. The most important part is like your relationship with yourself, your relationship with money, whatever it is, whatever the topic is, whatever your relationship is, you have to have a strong relationship. So like I've learned to have a strong relationship with self. And so that gives me a high level of self confidence and not much self doubt because I feel like a lot of times we're gonna put doubt on ourselves before we put grace on ourselves.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
people are like, oh man, when I was 18, I should have did this. And it's like, yeah, but you were 18. You didn't know
Hmm.
any better. So you can't be mad at an 18-year-old decision when you're 35 and you have 17 more years of life that you live and you're thinking with your 35-year-old brain, not your 18-year-old brain. You can just be happy that you had that experience and it helps shape who you are as a person and give yourself grace. A lot of times, I can't get that job. I'm not that smart. Who said you can't get that job? If you present yourself like that, then you're not
Hmm.
going to get it. The thing about jobs or the thing about anything about opportunities that someone has to give you a chance because everybody started off with no
Right.
experience, right? Like you go into the workforce, I don't have no experience. Someone had to take a chance on me, and so if a place is not willing to take a chance on you, it's not your loss, it's their loss. And giving myself, giving yourself grace in your relationship with yourself, like you know what, I know I'm dope, so I know I'm going to be where I need to be, right? And that takes so much stress off of you and it allows you to open up and feel comfortable and being vulnerable, right? Where people can't use your vulnerable moments against you. And again, when you have core relationships where you
Hmm.
can be yourself, people aren't looking to use your vulnerable moments against you. So it makes you even more vulnerable to be able to say things and get off your chest. And now you're not holding on to trauma or holding on to different things and you're thinking at a higher level or capacity. It just makes for more effective communication, better relationships, and just better feeling of self.
That's all. That is so true. What was the biggest investment you made in yourself, and what type of fruit have you seen from that?
Honestly, going to the gym is a big investment
Hmm.
myself, right? Then like sound mind, sound body. You can't have all the money in the world if you're not
Yeah,
willing to
yeah.
spend it. So I think like the biggest investment is like in my health, right? How I eat, working out, training, not just training my body, but training my mind. So like yeah, I go to the gym, but I try to read different things. I try to keep my mind sharp, watch different things, not just watch, consume, junk food mentally, right? I think that information is like food. I think a lot of people are mentally obese. So, being mindful to intake information. I can read the same thing 7 different ways, right? If something happens, I can go to the blogs. There's like 8, 9, 10 blogs who are going to tell me the same story 8 different ways. That is mentally obese. Okay, pick one platform you like. If it's information about whatever, limit the platform. You're gonna get this the same story. And so, figuring out how to have a very strong
Hmm.
information diet, right? The same way that I have like a very strong like
Yeah.
food diet allows my mind and my body to be at the sharpest points. And the biggest investment is in my mental health and my physical health. So whether that's me paying to go to therapy and having a therapist and speaking to my therapist about different things and really getting the stuff off mental and then going to the gym and working on my body and working on my health, right? Because the biggest investment is in me, right? There's no other investment I can't make. I could buy a house, I could buy a car, I could buy whatever, but you know what? All those things are replicated. I could buy a million different houses, a million different cars, whatever. There's only one me, right? So I'm the greatest investment in terms of what I spend my money and my time on.
I think I think going to the gym for you and just taking care of your health, I think that's an understatement. Bro, you shaped like a refrigerator, bro. You shaped like a fridge. Guys, this guy is shaped
You
like a
gotta get
fridge, guys.
you gotta put the work in, whatever that
Yo.
you want, right? Like in life, I think we all can do. We just gotta believe in it. So like the gym is my happy place. I get to go work out, and it helps you clear your mind. Helps you feel good. You feel good, look good,
Hmm.
smell good. That energy exudes, and people can feel it, right? They want to be around it. They want to, they gravitate towards it.
I love it. What does generational wealth look like for you?
That's a good question. So I think a lot of times people confuse generational wealth with being rich in the near term, right? Or at some point in your life. Generational wealth is really tending the soil uh, to grow trees that you'll never bear the fruit from, right? Like it's really a sacrifice because generational wealth means that you're sacrificing your time, you're sacrificing your money. There's you tending to the soil so that future generations can eat from these trees. It doesn't mean that you're going to plant these trees that are going to grow tomorrow and you're going to eat right there. Now, maybe maybe your growth process is a little faster. You do get to eat from the trees, but for the most part, the idea of generational wealth is to be able to tend to that soil so that the future generations are able to bear fruit from those trees, and that's what it looks like for me. Because you got to put stuff in place: trust, estates, life insurance, investing. There's so much that goes through it, right? How much can you really do in your lifetime? And so you have to put those in place, and then somebody comes after you, and they tend to the soil, and as they tend to the soil, stuff props out the soil, and all of a sudden, this tree and this fruit comes from the tree, and then your generations after are able to have this fruit and maintain the tree, and hopefully, they take those seeds from the fruit and plant them elsewhere, and they're able to grow their trees for their generation, right? And the process creates a forest of wealth.
Whenever anybody talks about generational wealth, my mind really goes to money and being rich and letting your whole family have money. I never looked at it as planting a seed for today, so tomorrow, so the people of tomorrow could eat.
Yeah, because rich is subjective,
Hmm.
right? Like rich to you might be $20 million, but to Jeff Bezos, who's worth billions or billions, right? $20 million is like, all right, that's light cash. So it's such a subjective thing of what's rich, what's a lot of money. Is $5 million a lot of money? Is $50 million a lot of money? Right? It goes back to the relationship with money. And so generational wealth really is the standpoint because once I start to tend to that soil, everybody around me who's tending to the soil has to be knowledgeable, right? Or else if you're not knowledgeable, somebody might poison the
Mm,
soil and now nothing grows, right? So we all have to be knowledgeable farmers. And so that puts the onus on everybody to learn and understand. So if I have a trust and I make 6, 7 people a trustee in their part, they have to understand how
yeah.
trust works, right? To take full advantage. They got to understand how the estate works. They have to understand how life insurance works. And so all the farmers have to be on the same page if you want to grow that farm. And, a lot of times people, oh, I want a lot of money. Okay, a lot of money is relative to whatever you think a lot of money is. And now, once you say that, right, what are you willing to do to get that money? Because you think it's a lot of money, and what at what cost? So if we grow the generational wealth tree, and you're not informed, and now you blow $20 million because it's like whatever, my life is money, something good. I don't think
Hmm.
it's a lot. You just cost future generations,
Yeah.
right? The opportunity to tend from that to bear fruit from that tree. So that's why everybody has to be knowledgeable, and knowledge has to be passed down.
The same way people, the same way analysts look at data from athletes from different eras, is it like that with investing as well? Do you look at different types of investments different investors made from previous years and things of that nature?
Yeah, you can use historicals, you can use real time stuff, right? We're looking at companies, and depending on what the company does, right? So like the idea is that there is profits in the process, right? So same thing. If you didn't have a jumper, right, you're not going to just show up with a jump shot. So Jason Kidd's a good example. Jason Kidd came to the NBA with no jump shot, and he left the NBA, I think top 10 or top 15, top 10 all time three pointers man. And you can't believe with no jumper, right? There's profits in the process. So I say it's because if you're a bad shooter, to get to be a good shooter, there's progress in the middle. So yeah, this season I shot 35% from three, right? But next year I shot 37, and then I shot 38, and then I shot 40, and then I shot 44. If everybody only acknowledges the 44, okay, I was going crazy 44%, but what about the profits in 37, 38, the profits in the middle to that 44,
Hmm.
like that, whatever that goal is, right? Like we got, so when we look at companies, you're like, all right, well, what does McDonald's do versus what I think they do, right? They're a real estate company that sells hamburgers, right? People, oh no, they're a fast food chain. No, they're a real estate. They have 40,000 locations, and if you look at the data, okay, they're so real that if a location they can't find an owner, they'll rent that location space to Burger King or Wendy's. So they're making money off their competition, real estate wise, right? Like they're real, but that's the data analytics of the company. How much money they have, what do they invest in, what matters to them. Looking at exactly what they do versus what I think a company does, right? So same thing with a player. So I think Kawhi is the best two-way player in the league, and it's like, all right, now we gotta look how many possessions a game is he guarding the guy's other best player, right? Like, and look at those numbers with him. Okay, what's the numbers look like when he's guarding LeBron? What's the numbers look like when he's guarding Tatum? Like, what's the numbers like when he's guarding? It's not to say he's not, but we gotta look at the numbers when you're guarding the best player, not when you're guarding Boo Boo
Hmm.
Juice Johnson, who you should lock up, right? So like, we're not comparing McDonald's to Arby's. No disrespect, right? Two different classes. So I want to see what you do when you go against somebody in your weight class, right? What those numbers like in competition compare, what you are. So when we're comparing players or comparing companies,
Hmm.
same thing, right? You don't care what Kawhi does versus Bum Juice. You care about what was it when he went head to head with Tatum, who had
Yeah,
the
you
better
care
team.
about the main event.
But also in the data, yeah, and also in the data, Tatum has 40. How many possessions did Kawhi guard him? Did Kawhi not guard him at all? Because that's a different 40, right? And that would change what the 40 looks like. Like, damn, well, Kawhi didn't guard him, so he still had 40, but it's different. But if he had 40 and Kawhi guarded him, he scored 18 of the 40 on Kawhi. It's like,
Hmm.
oh, gave him the
Yeah.
work, right? So it's the same level of competition when we're looking at like companies, right, and breaking down whether it's the actual company or their competition, and you're comparing them head to head. That's the same level of analytics.
Speaking of jumpers, when are you gonna get a jumper?
I've been had one since birth. I think you've seen it firsthand before. So I know we don't have to really tell you about it because like, you've seen it. So that's just what it is.
Before I get to my last question, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your day once again for being here with me. I appreciate it a lot.
No, I appreciate
Yeah,
you, bro.
for sure. So, for all the people listening out there, what are some ways that people can invest in themselves?
I think reading. So like I'm big. Like there's a book called Atomic Habits. There's another one called Digital Minimalism. There's another one called Deep Work. I say like that's the best, right? Reading or audio. I'm an audiobook guy, so I don't say reading, but audiobooks. I think your health and wellness, both physically and mentally. I think who you have around you, the conversations that you have, company you keep. I think this your overall being, right? Like self being and self worth. So every day, whether you have affirmations you say in the morning, right, to affirm that you're gonna have a great day, affirm who you are to yourself, and not being afraid to be vulnerable. And that is, what I mean, because when you're not afraid, people can't use it against you.
Mm.
A lot of times people are hiding stuff. So then it's like, if I find something out about you, I can hold it over your head like, oh, nah. But usually you can't because I'm going to be comfortable with who I am. But that's a process of working on yourself. So I think those things, like, right, your mental, your physical health, the constant reading, the constant, being around great people that are for you, and working in that way will help you really invest in yourself at a high level.
Thank you so much, bro. I appreciate it. Thanks for the game. Thanks for the wisdom.
I
Thanks for the
appreciate you.
knowledge.
I appreciate you, dog. Thank you for having me. Like I said, it's always a pleasure when people want to hear my opinions and thought
Yeah.
processes.
Thank you so much, bro. Have a good one.